This video is all about how to use AI to close more deals. Are you tired of deals stalling out and prospects going cold? And do you find yourself struggling to come up with new reasons to reach out to prospects that have gone quiet? Do you wish there was a way to continuously generate ideas that would actually strengthen your relationships with these prospects and position you as a helpful expert? Then this video is for you. First, we'll use AI to zero in on what stage your deal is stalled at, and then we'll use it to understand why it is stalled and gain a deep understanding of the real objections that you might be facing. From there, we'll use it to generate a menu of different approaches that you can take. Then we'll select an approach and use AI to craft messaging around it. And from there, things start to get really interesting. We'll use AI to gather third-party research to back up your messaging. These expert opinions will make your approach infinitely stronger. At the end of the video, we'll look at the best ways to deliver this information, whether it's email, custom blog posts, or even taking it over the top and using AI to generate a completely custom video presentation. That's right, I want to show you how to take the custom content that we've created for your prospect and use AI to generate a complete video presentation with just one prompt. If you learn and use all this correctly, your competition won't stand a chance. So whether you're a founder, a CMO, a VP of sales, an AE, an SDR, a BDR, or a content writer that supports a sales and marketing team, this will be a game changer. I've got a cheat sheet version of this video with all of the prompts and tools along with a handful of alternative prompts available to my Patreon supporters. There's a link in the description to that, and I also have some coaching options available if you want my help implementing this with your team. Okay, so here we are in ChatGPT 4. This is the paid version, which I highly recommend as it is way better than the free version. So hop in there. We're going to start very simply and we're going to get more complex as we go along. So stay with me. The first prompt we're going to use is, in the typical B2B sales process, what are the buyer stages? I'm sure you know these, but the purpose of this is to get these into ChatGPT's working memory, so we've got a good place to start. You take a look at all these different stages, and what I like, it has the big stages and then some different sub-stages underneath. From there, you figure out where your deal is stalled, and you ask, what are the typical reasons that a sales stall at the negotiation and purchase stage in this example? It gives you a whole list of reasons why it might stall at that stage. I'm sure you know some of these, but some of these you maybe haven't thought of in a while, and they could be helpful, especially in the next prompt. After taking a look at that, here's what you want to say. Please generate some persuasive messaging ideas for a buyer who is stalled at this stage due to the risk aversion and internal buy-in factors. So selecting what you believe are the reasons the sale is stalled, and then ChatGPT will begin to generate a menu of options and different approaches for you to take for the specific stage that the deal is stalled at and the specific objections you may be facing. This alone can make a great drip campaign and generate a lot of different ideas of different angles you can take when you're communicating with your prospect. But now we want to take this much further as we go into the research phase of this process. Adding third-party research can be critical to positioning yourself as a third-party expert. And that means doing some homework so that you can thoroughly argue and present your case, not just from your opinion, but from a position of knowledge. For this next section, we're going to hop into an AI called Perplexity. This is the #1 AI that I have found that is connected to the internet and can do internet research far better than any of the other options I'm aware of. Here's the prompt we're going to use. I'm going to show you how this works in a second. With this, you want to start pretty narrow and go broad. So for this example, you might want to look into a very specific part of cybersecurity that you're focused on, or a very specific part of the financial sector that your prospect is operating in. You may not find anything if you go too narrow, but if you can find some things there, those will be the most impactful. Then you want to branch out to the larger and larger categories so that you can find the best research that applies to your situation. It's important that you include the word recent in this prompt because you want to be serving them up things that have been created just in the past year or so. In the cheat sheet for this video, there are a lot of different alternatives to this prompt that can help you really uncover a lot of different areas in your research. Now hopping into Perplexity AI, here's the prompt that I just went through. It goes out into the internet, pulls together a bunch of different resources that might be applicable for this particular situation here. You'll note that it has these little numbers here, which are incredibly helpful. These are the links to the different citations that you can then use. From this initial list, I then ask it which of these would be most interesting to a CTO of a regional bank chain who is considering purchasing a cybersecurity solution. So then narrowing it from the broad category of the financial sector to this particular prospect, a CTO of a regional bank who's considering buying your cybersecurity solution. It narrows this down to 3 potential resources that might be useful to that individual. You might want to do this a couple times from different angles to find the most appropriate research that would be helpful to your prospect. But from there, we can move on to drafting the communication and sending it off. And for this, we're going to hop into a different AI. We're going to use Anthropic's Claude, which I believe is the best writing AI currently available. And this is the prompt we're going to use. Please take the following source material by Ben Hertzberg. It's important to cite your sources. This gives you actually more credibility, and you may end up developing a relationship with some of these folks over time. Going on with the prompt, you want to use that to create a short blog summarizing the cybersecurity threats that the CTO of a regional bank chain should know about. Make sure to cite the author where appropriate. So here we're taking the source material from this original author and we're using Claude to tweak it to your specific prospect's needs. Let me show you how that's done. So here we are back in Perplexity. This is the article that I find to be most impactful. And then you want to select that entire article and hop over into Anthropic's Claude. You want to paste that in and it'll show up just as a little text message here. And then you want to add that prompt that I went through, making sure that you are citing the original source. This builds the credibility again. From there, it creates a custom blog post tailored to your specific prospect. So stay ahead of cyber threats, what every bank CTO needs to know. And it takes that third-party source material and turns that into a very specific blog post, custom tailored to your specific prospect. You can continue to fine-tune that inside of Anthropic's Claude, tying it directly back to the messaging that we went over in the first section. And you can use those in a lot of different ways. You can use them as a drip campaign, moving through all the different approaches that seemed appropriate and all the different sources that seem appropriate, or you might want to create one larger blog post or one larger document. But the most exciting stuff is now you can take this information and turn it into potentially a customized podcast episode specifically tailored to your prospect. The tool that you would use for that is called 11 Labs, or you might want to take this information and turn it into a full video presentation. And for that, I'm going to show you how to use a tool called CapCut. So to access the CapCut plugin, you want to go back into ChatGPT 4, the paid version, and you want to enable this CapCut plugin. If you've never enabled plugins before, it's fairly easy, and I'm sure there's a lot of different documentation that can walk you through that in just a couple clicks. But once your CapCut plugin is enabled, what you want to do is just copy and paste the entire blog post that you created and say, using the CapCut plugin, create a presentation from this article. And here's the article that we created, and I copied and pasted out of Claude. What it did first is it tried to summarize that article and created a very short and I would say very weak video. So I had to nudge it and I said, I would like you to create a video using the exact copy I submitted. Is that possible? And sure enough, it created a link to a video here. If we click this, it pulls you into the CapCut software. And you can then edit that video inside here, tweak it as you need. Trust me, you will need to. It's still early days for this tool, but it's very cool to know that it's possible. For this one, it generated some kind of goofy music, and there was a couple tweaks that I felt were necessary before this would be ready to send off to a client. But this is the type of thing that can really help you stand out rather than just an email. Sending them a fully customized video presentation is a good way to get their attention. There's some novelty to it, and as these tools advance, it's going to get more and more powerful, more and more usable, more and more helpful in your sales process as time goes on. And remember, the stuff you create for this one prospect might be applicable for others. Remember, you can use it on social media. You can use it on your blog. Again, I got to stress, you want to cite those different sources that you're pulling from. It's not only the right thing to do, but it actually builds that third-party credibility and positions you more as an expert who is bringing these different resources to the table. All right, and remember, I have a cheat sheet version of this with all of the prompts and a bunch of the alternative prompts specifically for that research section available to my Patreon subscribers. That is definitely a great way to help me keep this channel going. I have some coaching options available for those of you who are looking to implement this in your team. There's a lot of different ways we can tweak this to your specific offer, to your business, to the people that you serve, and to your process. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know. I've got another video all about creating and enhancing this type of content. There should be a link to that appearing here shortly. That might be something you want to check out if you want to go even further with this. But thanks a ton for watching. I hope you got something out of it. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. I'll see you on the next video.
Just do it. Make your dreams come true.